Welcome back to Unified Reality. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the power of self-branding and digital marketing with Amokrane Mariche. We'll be going through the importance of branding, content creation, entrepreneurship, and obviously AI. My friend Amo, how are you?
Azad, thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And yeah, man, I know that we've been trying to connect for a while. You travel so much. You're so busy. You're all over the place, man. Congrats on everything that you've been doing.
Thank you.
I think you just came back from Africa, right?
Yes, actually, I went to Qatar, Saudi, and then Algeria.
Nice.
And then Montreal, Canada, yeah.
Nice. And we're going to get into it, like your whole journey of how you got to Montreal, actually. All right, let's just get into it, man.
Let's go.
You have a beautiful journey, and it goes all the way from you being a content creator to still being a content creator, right?
I know, it's true.
So tell us, how did it get started? What sparked your imagination to become a content creator, your journey, and where you're at today?
Actually, maybe something that you don't know is that I started as a filmmaker.
Yes, that's why I said that. That's why I said content marketing.
Okay. I get it.
I think we met when you were still working at Nike, or
No, right after.
right after, right? And when I checked who you are, and I went and checked. I was like, oh, you made a movie, and then I told you about it, and you said, hey, that's kind of why I work in the marketing, because I have an eye for these things.
Exactly, and I want to tell stories. And, it's all about content creation, but we don't create content just for the sake of creating content. We want to tell stories. So back in Algeria, I used to dream about filmmaking, about telling stories. And especially as North Africans and Africans in general, we have that culture of orality. I don't know if I say it well. Our culture is built upon not necessarily written things, but on stories.
Yes, stories that we share,
exactly,
and descendants, and it goes
exactly. So I wanted to, have my own story and story of my people, our culture. So I started with filmmaking. I went to France, to Paris for to study cinema and documentary filmmaking. And then I went back to Algeria and I started doing movies, but it's not that easy, in countries like in Algeria to be a filmmaker. So what happened is that I started working with agencies, so especially foreign agencies. And one day I received that email with an assignment from an agency, I think if I'm not mistaken, from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam. And the client for that agency was Nike. They wanted a video filmmaker to do like a special assignment for the World Cup in 2010 in Algeria. So I did my thing, and I was very happy to not necessarily serve Nike, but through that agency, have Nike in my portfolio. So at the end of the assignment, I discussed with the manager with whom I had, that assignment. And they told me, you know what, Amo, we like you so much. Do you think you want to work for us? And immediately I thought, okay, Nike is launching a TV or something. So because I was so linked to the, filmmaking things, and I never thought about communication and marketing. And actually, they wanted me to run the marketing for their distributor in Algeria, PMG. So at first, I refused because I wanted to, stick to my art,
make
movies, and almost 1 year later, I thought, okay, it's not, you can't refuse, to work for Nike. So that's what happened.
This is working for the distributor, but Nike, that kind of Nike direct.
Yeah, it's the distributor, but we had all the guidelines, all the work, all the spirit of the, the Just Do It spirit. So that's how it all started. My shift from creating content, being a filmmaker, to a marketer, and to someone who needs to understand a lot of much bigger things like digital and marketing and PR and so on and so forth. So that's how the shift happened.
So when was it exactly? What age were you when you said, I want to become a filmmaker?
It was very early stage. I would say around 14, maybe 15 years old. I wanted to be the Spielberg of Algeria somehow.
That's a great goal, and you have to have goals like that, especially at that age.
Yeah.
So my question is, what was your first camera? Remember, I said I don't know my first camera.
Yeah, actually, believe me, it was more about the stories and not about the tools. So I used to do like some theater to create, things like that, in terms of stories and trying to draw things, but not necessarily having camera at that age. I
So well said, my friend. The
Exactly.
point is that you don't need big toys. What you need is a good story.
That's the story.
And we're seeing it now in Hollywood. It's coming right back, right? Indie movies are much better than the high quality, big budget movies.
Exactly.
Right?
So the story is that most of the people who, for example, I would say, okay, I got my first guitar and I started, using guitars and then, the whole career. But it didn't happen.
So were you writing?
I was writing. I was trying to play in theater. It's
Maybe direct.
But the main objective was to create movies. So I hadn't, I came from very modest, I would say, not poor, but modest village in Algeria. So having a camera at that time,
it wasn't
something regular.
Shout out to all our friends from Algeria.
Thank you.
I was just saying, like, my dad bought himself a camcorder when I was 12, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he got a super discount, and my dad was an entrepreneur, but it became mine. So, I started with pranks and all that stuff. That's such a nice journey. So you started working for Nike.
Yeah.
But then you did this whole shift of coming to Canada. So when I met you, you were still in Algeria. Well, I mean, we met through LinkedIn and we had a meeting.
Exactly.
You were still in Algeria, right?
Yeah, actually, not necessarily in Algeria, but in Malta.
Okay, yeah.
Because during that, back to the story, starting with Nike, I honestly thought that I would do like 6 months just to get the experience and to get the swoosh in my curriculum, on my resume.
It's
That's
a really
it.
good ad.
And finally, instead of having 6 months, I did 6 years almost.
Wow.
And during those 6 years, I remember, for example, being someone who learned a lot. I had to learn everything from scratch. I had to hire people, to work with people, to understand how it works. And believe me, Nike is one of the best brands and also the best marketing and branding schools that someone could have.
Yeah.
So I have no MBAs, no degrees.
So I say that you're kind of an entrepreneur that was working for Nike because of the territory, right? Because it was Algeria. It's not the same as if you're working for an agency here. It's not the same opportunity.
It's not the same opportunity. That's why
I think there it was much like you could
potential and
exactly showcase your work.
Exactly.
That's such a good experience.
So sometimes that's maybe something that I want to say to people listening, maybe, or watching this movie from countries like Algeria, that sometimes it's true that a lot of tools are available in the West, available in developed countries, but sometimes the opportunity is in your countries.
Yes, I believe this.
I never would imagine that someone with no experience, no degrees in marketing would be the marketing manager for Nike.
And how old are you, if you don't mind, when you got the job?
At that time, 30 years.
So yeah, that's kind of, it's a big responsibility for that age too, because you would usually go maybe 40, 50-year-old, right?
Exactly.
Someone older, but that's great.
And honestly, I would really thank the people at the PMG distributors who not only hired me, but trust me. So I had like carte blanche. So I really had to, okay, Amo, we understand that you are not like the regular marketing manager with MBAs and things like that. So, okay, experience, but just keep us on the loop, keep us, understanding what you are doing. So I remember, for example, in 2012, we decided to, it's not a marathon, but it's like a 5K run in Algiers. And we experienced the first connected race ever, maybe in the southern hemisphere. Why? Because the runners, when they check in for the run, they had bib tags with RFID tags on their shirt. So when they were running, they were sending messages to their Facebook. At that time, Facebook was a thing. I remember 2012. So depending on the speed,
it would send a message,
a different message.
That's so dope. And you did this locally, or you had to reach out to other agencies?
I worked with agencies, not only in Algeria, but also elsewhere. Yeah.
Was this one of the highlights, I could say? Or what else was like one of the highlights of the projects or / marketing campaign?
Yeah, I think one of, for me, if we talk about technology at that time, 2012, that was big, because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I worked with Infiniment Sport, the agency in France, and the digital agency was Amokrane from, I think the company is linked to Karl Lagerfeld or something.
Yes, I know, yes.
So that was so much advanced, and we won the Just Do It prize for the best marketing in Africa like a few years later.
Was it why did you choose to work with Paris agencies? Was it because of the territories more francophone?
Yeah, in Algeria we have so many ties with France and with other countries in Europe. It's much easier to
were your campaigns in French or in Algerian?
Actually in Arabic, Algerian, French, right? But the more and more we use English as well. The new generations are somehow...
And when you were doing this, was this whole thing about influencers and content creators, were we there yet, or this came after?
It came after.
Great.
But we did our best. Actually, maybe because I was so naive in my way of doing marketing, I was obviously thinking about the outcome, the ROI in terms of investment, but also on the impact itself. So for example, let's say the marketing guidelines would say run that huge out-of-door billboard on the highway showcasing the last Air Max or whatever, and I would say, you know what, I would prefer to organize or host a football tournament for the kids, so it's, in my opinion, a higher and bigger impact, but we would give the shoes for free for the kids. So the impact, the stories are
real impactful stories.
Impactful. And what's happening, instead of that major series of billboards on the highway giving the money to the richest, maybe with this way of tweaking the strategy, what will happen, without knowing, because remember, I didn't any studies in marketing, but I was experiencing at that time the first UGC, user generated content, because the kids were so happy to receive cleats from Nike, authentic ones.
So they would talk
about it. Go on Facebook,
word of mouth is the best, and then UGC's word of mouth on steroids. That's beautiful. So these kids were your influencers before
exactly
we were using that word.
Exactly. And actually, to be honest, I wasn't aware of UGC. I just, I felt something. I wanted to give back to the community. As I said, someone who came from a village, and I just want to help.
It's beautiful.
People.
It's a good way of turning the strategy. And I think that what you did, the latter case, brings more to the brand.
Exactly, because Nike was, and not only in Algeria, but in the whole Africa, was ranked #1 preferred brand. Although sometimes we have all more like Adidas stores or Puma stores, because Puma was heavily investing on national teams, etc. But we won on the grassroots. We won on the link with the kids, with the 13 years kid liking football or gym or running.
That's beautiful.
That's
beautiful. All right, we're gonna move on a bit more to what you're doing now. So when I met you, right, we talked, and you were telling me, "Hey, I'm moving to Canada," and your brand, your self-branding was on point. Like, I knew who you were. Okay, this man, this is what he does. How did that shift happen? Like, how did you decide to, okay, I'm gonna stop working for Nike and I'm gonna start my own brand and I'm my own businessman now?
Yeah, you know what happened is, at that time again, I was so naive.
Well, you know, entrepreneurs are naive because or else we wouldn't
take
do
risks.
this.
We take risks. Sometimes it's good to have calculated risks. So you do your market study. That's the least you can do. So I reach out to you before coming to Canada. I reach out to many people. I started working on my own networking before coming to Canada, and that's a piece of advice to anyone who want to immigrate or go to somewhere new, or maybe to just start working in a new field or something. Do your homework first. So that's the first thing maybe to consider. But I was so naive. I thought because I worked 6 years with a Nike business, it would be so easy for me to find a job and to land, and to start from scratch here in Canada. I was so naive because you know what happened? If we talk about personal branding, I was Amokrane from Nike. So my family name was Nike. So no one knows me, So Amokrane from Nike. And then when I arrived here, because I wasn't working for Nike anymore, I was no one. It was just Amokrane. But we don't know who is Amokrane, what are his values, his expertise, nothing. So it was so difficult. I even started to think about going back to my country. Because after maybe 8-9 months without working as a job seeker, unknown in Montreal, it was so difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult.
And the main thing, so one day I said, you know what? You are not a marketer, you are not a branding guy. If you can't brand yourself, can't work on your own marketing, think of hiring and finding a new job as marketing your own expertise. And that's when the shift started.
That's great. So by necessary needs, you had to, as all entrepreneurs, and I think being naive is, obviously it could be a bad thing, right, in a lot of situations, but for what we do, right, because you have to believe in what you do so much, like an obsessed, crazy fan that never let goes. Because or else you're not going to make it. Like,
exactly.
The other guy's going to believe in himself and his product just a bit more, and he's going to win, right? It's not like when you work for a company. The company you work for them, your job is to do the branding. But now you realize that, wait, if I'm a brander and I can't do it for myself and I can't get paid or get contracts, then I'm not really a branding guy. But this is for entrepreneurs all around.
Exactly.
You could be digging holes. You could be a cement company. If you can't sell what you have and go through the cycle of believing in yourself so much and being your number one fan so much that nothing stops you. Like, basically what I mean by that is you get 99 no's and then you get one yes. But to get the 99 no's, most people stop at 4 or 5 no's and they give up.
So the first thing I had to do is first believe in myself. Okay, I was naive, but not dumb. I have something. I can think. I have expertise, and believe me, I think most of immigrants and most of people coming from elsewhere are entrepreneurs by default. We are. The immigration is an enterprise.
Like itself is such let's say a life project.
Exactly.
Right? Like moving to somewhere you don't know anyone, maybe you don't know the language, you don't have the finances. It's an entrepreneurship, basically. Exactly. Especially if you have a family and kids.
Exactly. You are taking risks. You are aiming for the better. You are taking all means necessary to succeed. So it's basically that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So my dad, he same thing. Like he immigrated here. You immigrated yourself. Me, I was lucky that I'm second generation. So a bit more blessed. But we're all blessed in our own way.
Yeah.
He had to study. Then kids. Let me just be an entrepreneur. So yeah, it is. Immigration is a hard thing, and people that go through it are strong people that could actually run a company.
Yeah, and
you have to be a leader. There's all kinds of things you have to do.
Exactly, and I think it's relatable also to people who are not immigrant to understand and to maybe learn from it.
Yes,
because when let's say you work for a company and you have that crazy idea or a dream to launch something, it's
It's the same thing.
So
The same.
So
So
it's about
when-
resilience and to believe
that
you can
and
do
then
it.
you want something better. So we could literally look at it. I don't know if the percentages are the same, but what are the number of percentages of immigrants moving from a country to get a better life somewhere? And what are the percentages of someone, population in a set country that wants to become entrepreneurs? I'll give like example. You're an immigrant. You got here. That in itself is an entreprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you did. Now, someone here that's comfortable and grew up here, a lot of them don't become entrepreneurs, right? But that percentage that decides to become an entrepreneur thinks just like the immigrant. And the immigrant thinks just like him because they want something better. So they're going to take risk and work for it and get there.
They refuse status quo.
Exactly. And like all the big entrepreneurs, like on my podcast, we're all entrepreneurs. They all have the same thing.
Mhm.
It always comes back. Like I don't like all these things I have to do to be an entrepreneur. I don't like accounting. I don't like this. But the passion of that thing, that the change, the better that I want, it just doesn't stop, right? We don't let it stop us. So all the bad stuff, and we have so much bad stuff when we're entrepreneurs. So I believe that entrepreneurs are the strongest people in the societies. This is what I believe.
They are movers and shakers, so I completely relate to that.
And so, like, what would you have in terms of like a good advice for someone like you that was working somewhere and that decided totally to like change countries and go somewhere else? I think you'd mentioned it, networking, right, and preparing yourself.
Yeah.
What other advice would you have?
I would say it's important first to think about it first. So it's especially when you have responsibilities, you just don't quit somewhere and go. You say, oh, because you believe in yourself. I'm not into that romantic way of thinking of entrepreneurship. They are heroes. I think.
Well, you have to work, man.
Yeah, there is a reality. I'm a dad too, so I have responsibilities. And I really need to work and think about it. And when I say think, not just in your head, but do your market study. So try to understand the ecosystem. Try to see if what you want to do and create as a business is necessary, is something different from what is existent currently. So that's the first piece of advice. And then networking is very important because you can pick brains everywhere, and exactly what I did before coming here. So I went on LinkedIn, went on IG and different networking platforms, and then I said, okay, I need to find people that could inspire me, that could maybe give me more insights. And it's incredible how people are kind when you show kindness.
When you ask, right?
When you ask, and you need to ask the right questions, because, for example, now I have almost 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, and sometimes people just, send connection request. 30 seconds later, the guy will send you a pitch or a resume, hire me. Come on, man. I ignore those. Yeah, so I ignore them too. But what should happen is that you create a conversation. And I always say in my coaching, in my trainings, if no conversations, no conversions.
So give us an example, right?
Don't start a conversation with someone. Why the heck will he help you?
True.
Or she. It's very important to start the conversation, build trust, and then maybe share value. Sometimes you say, Amo, yeah, you are an entrepreneur, you're in Canada, I have nothing to give you. The least thing is gratitude. Just thank you for accepting my request. But start conversation.
Yes.
And after that, when the trust is built, conversion will come. And don't be patient. Be patient. The same thing. Why can't we ask someone randomly on the street, give me $100 or $100? No one will give you. I would love to know some if they give $100 in the street. But if you build trust, if then, for example, I ask Tarek or maybe someone, or even you, now that I know you, I say, okay, Azad, I really need 100. You will maybe consider it. Yeah. So that's the most important currency, trust. You need to start conversation, provide value, and then build trust around you.
It's a really good point. So provide value, and being authentic is also part of that, right?
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of people try to, and there is also maybe the session of the Mythbusters, we say,
Mythbusters. Yeah.
So the fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
that's completely wrong.
So I have so many thoughts about that. So I don't like it, fake it till you make it, right? I grew up with values that we had to be honest, that you can't do these things, not religiously, but yes, religiously, it's in our culture, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, actually is like part of my family. Like, we don't lie. And we're like, well, why are we lying? Why would you lie?
Yeah.
Are you scared of what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So the way that I was raised was with fear because of, our cultures that look like that.
Yeah.
But my dad would always say, don't be scared of what I'm going to react. Just say it.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would react bad.
Yeah.
But I was still happy that I said it because it would let go of this pressure.
Exactly.
So,
and you build trust, actually.
Yes.
So when I say fake it till you make it, I don't like that, mindset or that way of thinking. I'm not saying it doesn't work. You see the difference?
Yes, I get what you're saying.
It actually works sometimes. A lot of people, influencers that I know, actually fake it. But
unfortunately,
but the idea is that it's not something sustainable. Because when you play, and I told you that when I was young, I used to, work in plays and theaters, etc. You could do it, but you can't do it permanently.
Well, the truth always comes out.
Exactly. But when you are your true self, you are not exaggerating, you are not doing efforts, you can do it.
A bunch of times. Two things it makes me think of. So, if you fake it, well, you're not actually, you don't know it, so you're not a real expert. Someone is going to check you, right? You're like, hey,
especially now,
right?
With
it's
internet,
like, bang, like, what are you talking about? And so that really, to me, is you have to be authentic and keep it to yourself. And the other point I always say is like, hey, some people are always going to hate you, whatever you do. So might as well be yourself, because you'll like yourself too,
Exactly. So it's very important to stay authentic. And actually, after almost 15 years marketing and communication, I did a lot of ads, a lot of advertising, and a lot of different mixes in marketing. And the one I kept for myself, and I decided to run, my own business, is about, inbound marketing, and about how someone could shine authentically to attract the best opportunities possible without spending money on advertising. That's I'm not saying the only way, but
that's your expertise.
My expertise and preferred way, because what's happening, Azad, is that I'm attracting the right customers because of my values, because of my expertise.
So good to say.
So I don't argue, I don't negotiate with my clients.
Because they know who you are.
Exactly. So instead of doing for example, sometimes I have, competitors here in Montreal and everywhere in the world where they are too much focused on lead generation, prospection. So the lead generation and how you can scrap emails, send emails. That's, for me, it works. But for example, sometimes you need to send 10,000 emails on LinkedIn or 100,000 emails to get a return on investment. Maybe that it's huge, but you are, ruining a lot of connections.
Yeah. So basically the return rate, right? If you don't have those real connections, or you're not talking to the right people, the rate on the return or the KPI is not good, right? And we could argue about, like, yes, it could be good if you fake it, like quantity is better than quality, let's say, some people will say, but I prone more for quality than quantity. So an example that you said, attracting the right people, right? There's a way of doing that. So if you put yourself out there, be authentic, be an expert about what you want. I mean, talk as an expert, right? You're an expert. Talk about what you do in a real way without faking it. Be authentic, show your values, and this will attract the people that you want, right?
Exactly.
Because it's not just about money, right? It's like, oh God, I want to make money. No, it's more also, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to work with people that I like, Because it's when we get older, it's like that too. We realize that it's not about money, everything. Yes, we get
Money is important.
We get paid anyways,
Yep.
right? My hour rate is the same if I work with a friend or non-friend. Okay, my friend will be a better price for sure, but my friend will probably pay me more because he'll say, you know what, I really liked it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that I rather work with someone I like, and so if I put myself out there, I have to be authentic to myself because I'm gonna attract that. And if I'm fake, I'm gonna attract fake, right? The stuff that I don't want.
Exactly. So it's all about thought leadership. So how you could, and honestly, for example, when I think about VR, AR, any mixed reality, you are top of mind as that. In my, ecosystem, you would pop up just like that, as that, because you have done so much things you give to the community, so you have that thought leadership in this particular field. So what I'm trying to do for my own branding, personal branding, and also for my clients, how they could be top of mind, for example, in physics, in social entrepreneurship, in, I don't know, name it. So the idea is how we could not only build trust, but be top of mind and have sustainable network, like a tribe around you.
Yes.
That will support you. Because sometimes a lot of people spend a lot of efforts and time trying to convince leads directly, while in my strategies I also work on the tribe, maybe because African, so
No, but
so I like this word of tribe. Just to finish, so the idea is that my tribe would bring business to me, so they are like my own ambassadors, and I do the same for them because we're a tribe. So I help them.
It totally works, man.
Exactly. And they help me. And together, even though, for example, now I work a lot on LinkedIn, without LinkedIn, let's say LinkedIn would disappear next year, I would still have my tribe supporting me. And then we go to Uverse or to other.
So your vibe, which is, let's say, what you put out there, your vibe attracts your tribe. Your tribe brings you back a circle of monetization, let's say, you know, however you whatever you sell.
Mm-hmm.
I totally believe in this, and that's the way to go. That's the most organic way you could start something.
Exactly.
Whether it's a brand, personal brand, an app, whatever it is, right? So
it's ethical, it's sustainable, it's efficient.
Yes.
So,
and we've seen a lot of communities around the world do this and grow, right? So we don't have to do it with our skin colors. We could do it with how we think.
Exactly.
And I love that stuff. I love it. Thank you for all that,
pleasure,
all that point of view. So we're getting towards the end of it, and we still have some really good stuff to talk about. Now, all of this, right? Content creation, right? What is happening to content? What's the trend, right? Is it, we saw, IG took over images 10 years ago. Then now we're like, short format TikTok, 6 seconds, behavior has been shortened. Where do you see this? What's happening with content?
A lot of things we could maybe say about content. The format is not the most important. Format is important for the algorithms, because sometimes, for example, let's say the algorithm, because of the dwell time, the time we consume that content, the algorithm will decide to give you more exposure. So maybe next time, it's not about the dwell time, about the number of interactions. So the algorithms change every time, depending on the platform itself, and sometimes with time, the same platform would decide to change the algorithm. So I'm not into the formats itself. I'm more about what could we say as a story and to whom we want to share this story. So videos are working very well. For example, on LinkedIn, I use a lot LinkedIn, and for example, the carousels would work a lot because you are sharing value. It's not something that you just take a selfie of yourself and say, yeah, that's cool, and then that kind of content.
The carousels when you put many pictures, right?
Yeah, many pictures, and then you're
telling a story.
Telling a story, or you're just giving, for example, educating people. For example, Azad would create a carousel with the differences of, VR,
AR,
etc. And then, you start educating people. So, for example, people could either just run the carousel and educate themselves, or try and save or download that piece of content.
Yes.
So you are giving value to people. You are helping them. It's not like I'm sharing a piece of content and then please write, I want it on the
what do you think of like still about blogging and text content or ebooks or let's say Medium or newsletters?
All those are good. My only worry, actually, not worry, but I'm thinking about it a lot today, is how Gen AI will completely transform.
We were about to get into it.
Exactly, because now people could just, have skills in prompt engineering and just create the content they want through Gen AI. So I'm just wondering how the algorithms and how the platforms will react to that. Because what's happening before, let's again give the example of LinkedIn. LinkedIn, 1 billion people on LinkedIn today. For example, in Canada, almost 23, 24 million people using LinkedIn. But in general, we are only 1 to 2% very active profiles, like sharing content daily, etc. But what's happening with Gen AI, those who were the silent majority, who weren't, creating content, they are enabled now to create content, because it's actually not them creating content, but they are like
the platform
content on steroids. So I'm just wondering how someone could differentiate himself through content. So I think what's happening here is that content won't be enough to differentiate yourself. You really need to work on your personal branding, to build your tribe, and then have content as proof, as social proof of what you could create and to give to the community.
That's interesting. So LinkedIn themselves, like when you write a text now, it says, do you want to change it with AI?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
I tried it and it's crap.
Doesn't work. And like, how funny is it when you see people that would never post, right? Like you just said, and all of a sudden they have a paragraph with all these emojis and a picture.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you know that we know. If we're anyways, like, so it's crazy. The landscape of generative AI is changing so fast. I believe that it will be able to create almost anything we want it to based on our prompt. So it's still expert people that are going to be able to do it. I think it's a super tool, but it won't replace us. And if it does, all we're going to do, I think, is be even more experts of something else. What I'm more worried about is is there going to be another explosion in content where we don't even know what's going on? Like we went from in broadcast days from, I don't know how many minutes it was that they used to create. We used to do zero content because we couldn't, right? And normal people,
true.
we didn't have cameras. Then to now, I don't remember exactly. I think it's 4,000 minutes per minute that's being uploaded to YouTube. It's like some crazy amount of content, right? Mm-hmm. What is all this going to content become? Where is it going to go? There's so much content.
Yeah. So the thing
more
is,
platforms, maybe
more platforms, or maybe less platforms, but more integrated, unified. If you want.
Oh, so, like our show, unified reality.
Unified. So that's something that could happen in the upcoming maybe months or years. I don't know. Believe me, I don't know, because I'm not an expert in AI or in all what's coming soon. But the idea is that the most important is that we will not lose conversations. So that's in human DNA. From very, very far, from when you read history, humans are about conversations. So maybe the tools would change. Maybe in the past they were drawing things on the rocks, etc. But it's all about conversation. So as a marketer, my focus now, and as a communicator, my focus now is how to keep the conversation going, how to keep the stories going, because the tools doesn't matter for me.
I totally believe that too. So we have to keep telling beautiful stories. real authentic stories, and don't be afraid, like you said, to pick up the phone, talk to someone, meet them at an event, right? I think that that's where we differentiate. We're not robots. We're not computers. We're human. We need social interaction. We want friends. We want to laugh. We want to eat together, right? So I think that's the part where, like you said, maybe the content is going to support now the real life and make the real life better instead of making real life crappy because everybody's focused on content. Maybe that because there's all this content and then everyone could do it, we'll kind of give a bit less importance to it and focus more on real life.
Exact.
Hopefully.
That's my hope too.
That's beautiful, man. So last question for you. Do you have a paid version of ChatGPT or any of these, Gemini or any of one? Like, do you use it every day and do you pay for the subscription?
Actually, I just tried to start, ChatGPT Pro because what's happening. Actually, the 4.0 Omni, because I just was flabbergasted, we say, and I said, okay, I need to experience it. So yeah, and believe me, now I feel that the potential is even bigger. So I even ask myself, will I still continue to do what I'm doing now in just 4 months, 5 months, 1 year? I don't know. So I really need to embrace.
Yes, I think you need to embrace it. And as I know you, you're probably going to be doing the same thing, but something else, right? It's going to be in the same thing,
but a tweak,
but something else. Because entrepreneurs and people that are motivated, self-motivated, disciplined to do these things always want to learn and always want to do something new. Because you know why? If you don't, you become a has-been. You become old. You become irrelevant.
Yeah.
And you want to be relevant, right? So you're always going to... So I went from, like you came today and this stuff is crazier than the stuff you saw 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is for me to be relevant. And now when you're going to share it, you're going to have a 3D version. And it's like, no one's seen that for a podcast. Like, you did a 3D podcast? Like, what's happening over there? Yeah, well, these guys are showing us what they do. They talk about it. They're very passionate. And for me, it keeps me young. I'm sure the same for you, man.
That's true.
Like, I mean, in the head, because I'm always learning. I'm always up to something.
It's very important, it's not about the FOMO, the fear of missing out, but just to stay relevant. And I think, as I said in the beginning of the show, I'm a dad and I want to have a continued conversation. Again, sorry, but I'm passionate about conversations. So I want to have the possibility to keep the conversation even with my own kids. They are,
especially that, man. If you can't do it with your own kids, then it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And you want to be the cool dad.
Yeah, I'm the cool dad, right?
So we want that. We all want that. It was a great convo, Amo.
Thank you so much.
I'd love to, come back again. Definitely. Let's get on to some self-branding. You're going to help me out a little bit. I'm going to help you out with some 3D stuff.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So Unified Reality, we will see you back again soon.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Azad, and thank you for watching.
Take care, my friend.